Hey, this is Mike. Thank you so much for choosing this video. Today we're checking out a 2022 Lexus, poetically named the NX450H Plus plug-in hybrid vehicle in the luxury trim level. This vehicle is sitting on 235/50 Bridgestone tires wrapped around 20-inch alloy wheels with a gloss gray finish. It also has four-wheel disc brakes with ventilated rotors on all four wheels. The name of this color is cadmium orange, and it's kind of like a dark orange color. The sun is not super bright today, but hopefully you get an idea of what it looks like. It's really impressive. When you think of orange, you're thinking, nah, it's not too good, but this one actually looks really nice. So here in the grill, this whole area right in here is like a gray with some speckles in it. It's pretty interesting, and this is kind of elongated to kind of emphasize this height here. So it makes it look even taller than what it is. There's gloss black portions here on the sides, as well as some matte black here across the base of the vehicle here in the front. There's parking sensors across the front. You can see some of them are integrated into the grille, and some are integrated into the body colored portion of the vehicle. There's also headlight washers over here, so they'll pop out and spray the headlights. Also, you have the radar adaptive cruise control that is behind this badge, and a camera there in the center for the 360 camera system. Now the headlights are really, really good. You need to check out my night video. Very impressive. It has 3 projector headlights on each side, and they do a good job of overlapping and just giving you excellent visibility. They are auto leveling, so as you're driving and you floor it or you're going up and down hills, they keep it at a really good level height, so that way it's not blinding other drivers when your vehicle's tilting up and down. But they're not active bending or anything like that. It doesn't need it. You can see everywhere anyway. And the fog lights are down here, and they're also a projector. And then you have this little cornering light right here, which is pretty cool. Really like it. Looking at the profile here, it has more of that matte black that extends around here under each wheel well. But notice this right here, this area here and here on both wheel wells is just left blank. So the intention of this black plastic typically is to protect the paint from road debris. But right there where the tire would sling up road debris, they have a little gap there for some reason. Pretty interesting. You see this in Toyotas as well. So the pillar here is a gloss black, kind of solidifying the glass, and then it's all surrounded by that chrome trim. And the chrome trim kind of looks like it extends out to the side of the side mirror there as well. Now the handles are body colored, and then the gloss black on the top and bottom, which is pretty cool. And the doors go all the way down to the very base of the vehicle, and I'll show you why they do that in a minute. This is what the key looks like, and it is a full proximity key designed to where you can just keep it in your pocket and use the vehicle 100%. It does have lock, unlock, the ability to open up the power liftgate, and a panic button here. The Lexus badging there and there. There's a physical key on the inside as well, and it's nicely contoured. It has a little bit of sharp edges, not sharp, but you know, a little bit more angled than others. But it's pretty neat. It's not too heavy. It's easy to carry around. But generally, if you just have this with you, you can use the vehicle 100%. So we can lock the doors by just having the vehicle, the key on the outside of the vehicle is very important. You lock the door by placing your hand over that little sensor indicated by that little line. You can put your hand or whatever. It senses the key on the outside, locks the door. To open it, same deal. You have to have the key on the outside of the vehicle, and there's actually just a button to open the door. So you just press a button in there, and it senses the key and allows you access. So there's not like a physical, like you pull it and it releases the door. But there is a physical key location behind this cover. If you pop that cover off, and there's a little physical key that you can unlock the door if you have to. So the door going all the way down to the base of the vehicle, there's a seal here, and the intention is to keep this threshold area cleaner so you don't get your clothes dirty getting in and out of the vehicle. So it's a nice touch. The inside of the passenger side door, you notice we have all black basically. We do have some white contrast stitching here. And then you have the wood grain, ebony wood, looking really nice. This is all soft touch. It's kind of like injection molded type stuff, and then there's like a vinyl type. It's not like super cushy soft, pretty much, except for right here. But it is technically soft touch. It's basically like a soft material over a hard touch material like that. It's basically what it is. This pocket, or this handle, is actually enclosed, so you could utilize it as a pocket, and there's a little felt portion at the bottom. This is actually the handle. You just push that, it releases the door. You can actually pull out on it and it'll mechanically open the door, so you don't have to rely on the electricity to open the door to get out. And then there's a pocket there at the bottom. Pretty plain looking speaker there. It does have puddle lights. You check out my night video. There's some pluses and minuses at nighttime on this vehicle. There's a threshold, and it has a pretty neat Lexus sill plate there. Power seat here on the passenger side. Able to tilt, go up and down, and tilt that way. So pretty good amount of adjustments there. So there's perforations here. There's stitching and some stitching there, just kind of like a V-shaped pattern. Looking pretty cool, and these are pretty comfortable seats. And those bolsters aren't too intrusive on me or anything. It feels fine. Here's the floorboard. The floor mat hooks in place, so that way it doesn't slide around on you. And pretty good amount of leg room. There's a little bit of tapering going on, but it's fine. This is a soft touch here, and then there's a hard touch. But like I said, on the door, it's like not super soft. It's not like a pillow soft. It's just a little soft material over a hard surface. So, you know, that's supposed to help with your leg or whatever, because it does kind of stick out a little bit, that center console, and interfere with your leg room slightly. Not a big deal though. All right, so right in here is hard touch, locking glove compartment. It is felt lined, and it's pretty big too. The dash is soft touch, kind of like rubbery soft, bouncy, rubbery, non-reflective surface. Getting in and out of the front, no problem. Lots of room here. The swing of the door is fine. The height off the ground, the seat height off the actual ground is perfect for me to get in and out. So it's one of those vehicles that's really easy to hop in and out. It's not a big deal. You're not climbing out or anything like that. The back door, the swing could be a little bit better. It's kind of angled quite a bit because you have this right here. So there's lots of pretty good amount of room. You have some tapering there, and so getting in for most people shouldn't be a problem, but the swing of the door could be swung out slightly more just to help out with that. So the inside of the back door, similar styling as the front. You have the wood grain. There's a speaker here at the top and bottom, and then there's the this is like the hard touch. This is actually hard. It's not like the front, it's a harder touch. And then you have like the vinyl type material, and once again, you know, it's not like it's soft touch technically. And then the real soft stuff is right here, which is where it counts. And then you have this little space here, utilize just like the front. Same thing down here as well. The back seat is basically like a bench seat. It does have cup holders and an armrest. You can move that out of the way, and it's pretty soft. This is very soft actually, which is good. It does have the latch system for car seats, and you can get to the little connections there easy. They're out of the way. On the back of both front seats is a pocket there, and there's the floor. Now the floor is halfway. I mean, it's okay as far as getting in the back, and you're tall, your knees are going to stick up a little bit, but it still has a decent height off the floor. Now the center position is a significant hump there, so you have to deal with that, but they do put like a plastic cover on it to protect the carpet in case you're putting your feet on it. There's climate control vents back here, 2 USB charge ports, and a 12-volt power supply. So this is a plug-in hybrid, and the plug-in for the vehicle is here on the passenger side, and has this little cover here, and you just plug it in, and it will give you, it actually charges fairly fast with a 220 outlet to, level 2 charging, like 2 hours, but the regular one that it comes with, it's kind of a cheap feeling one too. It takes like 12 to 14 hours to charge, so you definitely want to upgrade to the 220 level 2 charging system. Taking a look at the back of the vehicle, there is the roof rails there that are like a silver color, and then there is a body colored shark fin antenna in the middle. Third brake light is at the top of the glass in that rear spoiler. There's a rear wiper here as well. The tail lights, nice glow LED red tail lights back here. You gotta see my night video, it's really impressive. So the backup camera is kind of way over here, right there. It's not centered, and it's kind of in this weird position where it looks like it's an aftermarket tack-on type feature. It doesn't look integrated in the vehicle. It's not symmetrical. So I mean, it works okay, but you know, I think they should eventually will change that to something better, I think. Now it has parking sensors across the back. You can see them integrated into the body portion, the body colored portion. These are reflectors down here. There's not lights. And then you have like this little plastic deal right there just for looks. And same thing with down here. It has like this little gloss portion there and there. Kind of looks like it's supposed to be like some kind of vent or something, but it's just for looks. The exhaust is actually hidden on both. It's actually split. There's one on there and one there, but it is hidden. So to open up the power liftgate, you can of course use the key, or you can push a button under here. They put the button in the middle. And it has this pretty neat light. It's like a little tiny pinpoint light, but it is really useful at nighttime. You can see what I'm talking about for the cargo area. If you have all the seats occupied with passengers, this is your cargo space. Even has a shade. It's very easy to move, and it folds in half. You can get out of your way. So there's this net pocket portion here on the left side, and actually has a first aid kit, which is nice. There's a bag holder there, 12-volt power supply, tie downs. There's a net pocket connection there as well. You can use it as a bag holder, I suppose. There's tie down, bag holder there as well, and then there. So this floor, it has, for some reason it has these two handles. This one has like a spring on it for apparently no reason. I guess just to lift up the handle. Usually this is associated with like a latch, but this one doesn't have any kind of latch or anything. And then it has a handle here. So anyways, you can flip it up this way, or you can grab that and grab the whole thing and pull it out. But this is where you'll find more stuff. So there is a, put that right there. Okay, so there's the charge cable in here, and it feels very like cheap and flimsy. I don't know. Usually they have a little bit more weight to them. Maybe it's better quality because it's lighter. I don't know. But it is the 110 version. So this is one that's going to take a long time to charge. And also the 12-volt power, 12-volt battery is back here. And then there's some other compartments, and there is some tools back here as well. There's no spare tire, and I couldn't find a tire inflator kit either, so I guess roadside assistance maybe? Spare tires have been reimagined in recent years. Lowering the liftgate, there's actually two buttons. One is to lower the liftgate, the other one is to lower the liftgate, then lock the vehicle immediately after. It has a locking fuel door, and it's here on the driver's side, and it has a traditional cap, tether, and a little place to hang the cap while you're pumping gas. Starting it up, as long as you have the key inside the vehicle, hold the brake and push this button. This start button's really in a high position. And since it's a hybrid, the engine will not start always, but the system will start up, the climate control will start up, and you will be ready to drive. So if you don't hear an engine, doesn't mean that it's not ready to drive. It'll actually say ready right there, and it can use the electricity or it can use the engine, so it kind of switches off back and forth. On the steering wheel, you'll notice these buttons that have arrows right here and right there, little pages on either side, and then you have only 2 buttons on each side that's actually marked, here and here. So basically what you have to do is to find out what those buttons do, because they change depending on what you're doing, is to look at the heads-up display. So the heads-up display is really clear and easy to read, and it's a good thing because you're going to need it. Like, you have to use the heads-up display in order to use the vehicle. So you take your hand and just like move it around on the right pad. Right now I'm using the right pad, and when you do that, it pops up and shows you what the buttons do. Okay, so if you want to know what the button does, you have to look at the heads-up display after touching it. You can also push this button down here, and it'll switch the buttons and turn them into other things. So I let go of it, so now it comes back up. So you can see there's different, but basically the same buttons do different things now. Push that button down at the bottom again, and now it does different things. All right, so on the left side, it's the same deal. Once you start moving your hand around on the pad, it shows you on the heads-up display what the buttons do. And then if you press that button there, it changes them. So now they're different. And when you let go of it, that goes away and it goes back to the normal view here. So you just have to pay attention, and you have to be able to see the heads-up display properly, which is clear and it's easy to see. But it just kind of forces you, since the buttons are not marked, it forces you to play around with the buttons while you're looking at the heads-up display until you get used to the system for a period of time in which is too long, in my opinion, relative to watching where you're going on the road. Because the heads-up display, like I showed you, there's quite a lot of things going on here. You know, it's not just like you glance up and you can see your speed. There's speed, what gear you're in, the lane tracing assist, the adaptive cruise control information. It has a digital compass there, and then when you just start messing with these buttons, you got to look and position your hand right at the button that you want to use, or say, oh, wait a minute, this isn't the one, I gotta switch to the other one. And then once again, you gotta move your hand around and figure out what button to use. And this whole time you could be going 70 miles an hour. Okay, same thing on the left side. So something to consider, there is a learning curve, and there also is a ability, you know, like some people have issues seeing heads-up displays properly, and you know, so it's something you have to take a vehicle like this for a test drive and see if it's gonna cause a problem, you know, for you. I think most people, they'll be able to figure it out. At least play around with it in the driveway to make sure you're very familiar with it before you start driving on the road, because it can create a distraction when you're like, hey, wait a minute, all I want to do is increase the speed on the all I want to do is resume, you know, or all I want to do is increase the speed and stuff like that. So you can also adjust the display here, and you know, you could do all kinds of different things, but that's part of the problem here, is that you can go in this, it's kind of like a menu system now. You can go in here and make selections. You know, anyways, that's the deal with the buttons that don't have anything on them. It's all leaning a lot on the heads-up display for you to find out. It's like a game to figure out what the button does, I guess. Here's the floorboard in front of the driver's seat. Accelerator, brake pedal, really nice big footrest there as well. Let's take a look under the hood. To open the hood, there is a latch right here in the very center. Just reach in, move it to the left, and lift up. And it's got a little weight to it until you get to about right there. And then it kind of like, you still got to push it up, but it'll just hold itself up. It doesn't really like go up by itself. The underside of the hood has insulation, and you'll notice that the hood is latched down with 2 latches there. It's actually 3. This is the catch here in the middle, And then there's the 2 latches there that release when you release the hood. And it has these little springs to pop up the hood. It's pretty cool. Okay, so there's not only is there insulation there, there's insulation in the firewall. There's seals around the engine compartment, front, sides, and back, helping out with airflow and noise. So we saw that the battery was in the trunk area, so there's no battery up here, but it does have the hybrid system and the engine. This is an all-wheel drive vehicle, and the engine is positioned in a way to where it's primarily a front-wheel drive vehicle, and then it sends power to the rear wheels. So you can see it's positioned this way. Transmission is a CVT transmission, which is below there. And this is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine, and combined with the hybrid system and the engine, they're saying that it puts out 304 horsepower total with the CVT transmission. And it feels pretty strong. It does feel definitely adequate and fun to drive. You know, especially with the electric portion. You can drive just on electricity and it feels fun. It feels quiet and smooth. Very smooth, especially when a vehicle's quiet. It just seems like it's smoother for some reason, just because you don't hear anything. Inside of the driver's side doors, just like the other side, except for it has a few more buttons. We have 3 presets for the power seat for the driver, as well as the power windows are 1 touch up and down, front and back. The front windows are laminated, the back windows are not laminated. And while we're looking at the side mirror, there's the blind spot detection and rear cross traffic alert indicator here in the side mirror. These are also auto dimming as well. Door locks. Side mirrors can be adjusted here. Just pick a side and adjust it with this little pad. The automatic function there automatically folds them in, or you can manually push the button and fold them in when you want to. And the auto function is to fold them in when the vehicle is locked, is when it does. It doesn't just like randomly do it. Okay, so the driver's seat has a 4-way lumbar adjustments in addition to the normal up, down, tilt, and all that stuff. And once again, pretty comfortable seats and look cool too. Left of the steering column, there's this little felt line compartment right here, which is pretty cool. You can put what appears to be like change or whatever in there. It goes into about right there. It's like a little glove compartment. And then we saw the ability to release the fuel door, and then there's to open up the trunk. You just hold it and it'll open up the trunk, the power lift gate when the vehicle's unlocked. And then a tilt and telescoping powered steering column as well. I'm sitting in the driver's seat checking it out. I have the driver's seat all the way back and all the way down to give you an idea of the potential legroom here. And it's just slightly too far back, so I could, you know, be slightly taller than 6 feet. I'm 6 feet tall, so maybe you're 6'1", 6'2", shouldn't have any problem driving this vehicle. So it's just slightly too far back. So here is the steering wheel, and it's really nice leather wrap steering wheel, very comfortable, and it has a good feel to the actual surface. It's not super textured. It's actually pretty smooth, but it's grippy. It's not slippery at all, and it just feels good in the hand. A good thickness, good softness. Overall, I'm enjoying the feel of the steering wheel. It has paddle shifters here on the back as well. So there's the plus, there's the minus, so that way you can manually change the gears. It doesn't technically have gears, but you can change to the speed ratios. So here on the front, it's kind of interesting. It has some buttons, only 2 here, that are labeled. So this is to turn on the cruise control. This is the lane tracing assist button there. The rest of the buttons here and here will be, you're able to only know what they are by looking at the heads-up display. We'll get to that in just a minute. But there's the volume for the radio, and this little pages button is kind of like, it's actually not pages, it's more like it changes what these buttons do here and here. So those are unlabeled buttons, and you can have to look at the heads-up display in order to see what's going on, and you know, it's different. Windshield wiper for the front and back controls is here, and it does have an automatic rain sensing system as well. turn signals here, but also has a headlight switch. So it does have the ability to turn off the headlights. You can see the daytime running lights, and you can check out my night video to see what it looks like at night. Automatic parking and then headlights here. Fog lights are controlled here. And there's a button on the end to turn on or off your automatic high beams, and it has a little light indicator there letting you know whether it's on or not, which is very helpful. So here to the left, right in here, is the dimmer switch to the interior gauges and the trip. So you can toggle from the odometer to the trip, and then you can reset the trip as well. Okay, so this is what the gauges looks like, and it's basically a screen there in the center, and then it has the right over here, this is the status of the battery. So you can see it's quite low right now. And then on the right side is your fuel gauge. In the center, it has a digital speedometer, what gear you're in, but it also shows the state of whether you're using battery power or you're charging the battery. So as you coast downhill or something like that, or if you're just coming to a stop, it can use regenerative braking to charge the vehicle, but typically while you're driving, it's going to go up here in this zone. So as you're driving, if you keep it in this eco mode, it's like a little bar will show up here. If you keep it in the eco mode, that means you're getting the best fuel economy. But if you're like flooring it, it's going to go into this range there, and it's going to use up more battery and fuel at the same time. But as you go down, you actually get into the charge state, which is actually regenerating power for the vehicle to save. And also you have these little lights here letting you know the status of the adaptive cruise control and different things like that, as well as whether it's in EV mode, whether it's ready to drive, that kind of stuff. Clock, outside temperature, quite a bit of information here. But you can get a little bit more information, so I kind of memorized the buttons here to show you that you can get a little bit more information there at the bottom. So there's the fuel economy, average speed, EV driving ratio. So this represents the battery. That represents the wheels, like you're sending power to the wheels. And then the engine or battery is sending power to the wheels. So it kind of gives you like a status in the moment while you're driving, and it kind of switches back and forth. And you can see what your radio is doing. There's a G-force meter, which is pretty interesting. And then a blank screen there, which is what we started with. You just kind of scroll through and you can get rest on the one that you want. In my case, I just want a blank screen. So that's kind of a quick rundown of the gauges there. And you know, you might like these, the way they did these buttons. You might not. You let me know in the comments. So we saw the start button there. So this is the screen, and it's a really nice high resolution and good, just visually easy to use and look at. It's really easy on the eyes, and it's a large screen as well. And some of this stuff is really well implemented, I think. But the navigation, you see it says navigation is reimagined. Basically, technically this doesn't have navigation, because what it is, when you subscribe, you have to download an app on your cell phone, and it is a connected service. In other words, it's going to use your cell phone as the navigation system. So technically it doesn't really have onboard navigation. So I guess that's why they say it's reimagined. Now, this is going to be hard to compete with, say, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, which is probably a more developed system. But, and also you have other things that's going on with that as well. So, let me know what your preference is. If you have one of these vehicles and you've tried this and, other things, let me know what you think, if this is an upgrade or a downgrade. So you have these icons here on the left side. The first one is the navigation reimagined. The next one is the radio. So this would be audio in general. So it could be your radio. It could be your different sources here. So your Bluetooth. It even has Apple Music, Amazon Music, and like I mentioned, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto as well, and satellite radio, AM, FM, and all that. The next one will be your cell phone, and you can connect it, and then you'll have your recent calls, your phone book, and all that stuff will show up here. The next one here will be the vehicle information. So it shows a little vehicle right there. So it's showing the fuel economy here, and like you can see the what you've been doing. That's the history, and then you have current here, which we're not going anywhere, so it's not going to be currently very good. And then you have your settings, which you can set up and do all kinds of different things. Customize the vehicle, even do software updates here as well. But you notice that some of the screen down here corresponds with the climate control. So there is a heated ventilated seat controls for the driver and passenger, heated steering wheel as well. Let me go ahead and turn that off because it's blowing on the camera. But it does have an automatic function. You can hit the climate button and you'll be able to adjust it right here. And then this one pops up, more information. Now you notice it has a frequently used, and then it has comfort and convenience, so it's kind of separate. Heads-up display and driving assist. So all this stuff is kind of blended down in here with the climate control. So that pops up, and then you have these different options here in which you can go in and change or turn on or off. Below this, there's the fan speed, recirculate the air, and you also have these temperatures. Let me turn it back on actually, so you can see what these temperatures look like. And you notice it has like this dial that's kind of over top of the screen. So it's a kind of neat way of kind of adding this information there in the center of the dial here for the driver and the passenger, which looks pretty cool. And you can see it's blue and red, and as you turn it, you can see the number goes up and down, so you can see what you're doing. You can also sync them as well. There's a little tiny volume knob. You notice there's like knobs everywhere. So there's like knob, 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 and then there's a little tiny knob as your volume, which you think it would be, you know, at least the same size or something, but I guess they wanted to show you, you know, make sure that that's looks completely different from everything else. You don't get them mixed up. Front defroster, rear defroster also turns on the heated side mirrors as well. This is a park function, so basically it'll actually, once you learn how to use it, when you initiate it, it will actually turn the steering wheel and park the vehicle. So you do have to put it in gear, and you have to use the accelerator and brake pedal, but it will turn the steering wheel and assist you in parking. This is a button that specifically when you're just in park, it's just going to pop up and show you what's around the vehicle using the cameras. So it's kind of useful. You can press it again. You can see anytime you want to do that, and then you can see that view instead. Here's the four-way flashers, and then right here is the eco. This is basically drive mode. So normal, eco, and sport. And when you put it in sport, it gives you a different view here. We'll go to normal, go to eco, and then we'll go to sport. So a slightly different look. Below that is USB charge ports there, or inputs as well, and then a little storage pocket there. There is a wireless charger right here, and then this is like a little rubber pad right there. This opens up, and there's a storage compartment and a 12-volt power supply, and this is felt lined in here as well. Now I thought it was kind of interesting in the night video that this has like these accent lighting and it looks really cool, but it has the lights don't do anything to help illuminate this storage area. So I was kind of disappointed that, you know, I couldn't see it in here, and I'm like, well, what's the light for? You know, it's just for looks, I guess. Now there's cup holders, has a rubberized bottom, and here's the shifter. Now the shifter is it operates, it's basically the same mechanism as the Toyota Prius. It looks quite a bit different though, but it operates the same way, it feels the same way. So you can hold the brake, push it up like that to go in reverse, drive, bump it up just a little bit to go into neutral. There we go. You can press and hold it. That's how you do it. There's drive, reverse, and then neutral. And then if you want to go into sport mode, when you're in drive like this, you can pull down on it. It's not actually sport mode, it is standard mode. So you use the paddle shifters and you'll know what gear you're in because it'll show right there. So right now it's showing 4th gear for some reason. So you can use the paddle shifters to kind of cycle through them. And like I said, it doesn't actually have gears. It is a CVT transmission, so it has speed ratios. And you can go into park pushing that button. So let's go ahead and put it back in reverse, because I'll show you what the camera looks like. So it gives you a view behind the vehicle. You notice the camera's offset, so you see more of one side than the other. So it's a little bit strange, but it does a decent job of stitching it together for the top-down view. And the top-down view is kind of neat. It's not really like that useful, but it's really cool just in general. Is that when you go ahead and start moving, you notice the vehicle has the body color, which you can select. But when you start moving, it uses the view that around the vehicle to fill in where the vehicle was. So that way it makes it look like the vehicle's transparent. So I'm just going to kind of back up a few feet here so you can see what I'm talking about. So as I move, you'll see that space starts to fill up with the camera view. So actually makes it look like the vehicle's transparent now. Alright, so now let me go forward, and you can see that now it knows right where those lines are, knows right what the pavement looks like underneath, and it's able to fill it in to make it look like the vehicle's transparent. So yeah, I thought that was pretty neat, that system. So now we're in drive, we can see in the front view, and then when you stop for a second, then that view goes away, but it's only when you're moving. But yeah, I'll go ahead and put it back in. There we go. So now we see the top-down view, we can see the front view as opposed to the back. We can also change the view here, so we can get the, so right now it's the front view, that wide view. Press that button, and it gives you that view. It's kind of like more looking forward, further away, and it just gives you a different view there. That could definitely be useful sometimes. Let's put it in reverse, and in reverse we have basically the back view like that, or more linear. So wide view or more linear. And then you can turn the active guidelines on or off, because they will turn on. When they're on, you can actually turn the steering wheel and you'll see them move to let you know where you're going to go. Then you have these settings here that you can go into. So yeah, the cornering view, view under vehicle, we can turn that on or off or whatever. So check out this view as I'm moving. Actually has the tires moving, and you can see the top-down view, but also this view is pretty cool as well, where it still tries to give you that transparent look. As I'm going forward, it's just straight, but as I turn the wheel enough, it starts to give me that view. If I turn the wheel this way, it starts to give me that view. I thought that was pretty neat. It's kind of useful, but not 100%. But I think it's just really cool. It's just a cool touch. Here is what they call trail mode. It's basically just telling the vehicle that you're not going to be on dry pavement, and you're going to be on like loose gravel or something like that. So it behaves with the drive system a little bit differently. Electronic parking brake is here. You just lift it up to engage it. It engages the rear wheels. To release it, you hold the brake and push down, and it'll release the parking brake. The auto hold feature, this will hold the brake for you when you come to a complete stop. You just push the accelerator when you want to go again. Here on the right side, this is, so you can alternate between EV mode and regular engine mode. And then it has an automatic function as well, so to automatically cycle back and forth. But basically, when you have range, so right now we don't have much battery level, so right here it says EV and has like nothing there, so it doesn't have any EV range, but it does have the regular gas engine range. So if you wanted to swap back and forth, you can press that button. If you want the vehicle to do the swapping for you, you can do that. All right, so here's the armrest. It's pretty soft, very soft actually. It's a decent size. So yeah, I'm liking the softness. It's kind of like soft and then kind of rubbery soft after like a few millimeters. But this lifts up in two ways. There's a button here and there's a button here. So this button tilts it up this way so the passenger can access it better. And then this button tilts it this way for the driver to access better. And it has a felt-lined compartment in here. And it does have like this little tiny light in here. You got to check my night video because there's some pluses and minuses here. But it also has this quick access place for some tiny bit of change or something there. So the rear view mirror is also a rear view camera. So there's the mirror part. And you see the benefits of the rear view camera. So right now we're looking and there's pillars, there's headrests, there's a camera in the way. There's all kinds of stuff in the way. It is an auto dim when it is a mirror part, and also the side mirror is also auto dimming now because I have the shade over the light sensor. But you can go to the camera mode, and when the camera mode, there's nothing in your way. You directly see behind the vehicle, no matter how many passengers you have in the back seat with afros getting in the way. This will completely give you that clear view. Now you can adjust the brightness and the tilt and all that stuff here. Over here on this side is the Home Link garage door opener control buttons. Place to put some relatively small, I don't think you can put big Hollywood shades in there, but your sunglasses or whatever in there. Now the lights have like this, you just tap them, you actually press the lens and it'll turn them on and off. And then right here is for the sunroof, here and here. There's like a little ambient type light that shines down at nighttime. You can have the lights turn on with the door as well by having that turned on. If you don't want that feature on, you can turn it off. And then there's a roadside assistance that you can get help from, like you actually call an operator. If you accidentally press it, it's not a big deal. It gives you time to cancel it, but if you need help, you can access them directly. Even without your cell phone, it has its own wireless connection, so it can actually make a call only to emergency type services. The visor is a cloth, just like similar to the headliner as far as color, but it's much softer. The headliner is kind of rough. This is much softer material. It does have a mirror, a little light that turns on, and like a little place to put a registration in there. And it does extend out. Basically the same thing on the other side. So let's look at the sunroof. Now the sunroof has a shade that covers 100% of the light, which is nice. We can tilt it up, tilt it down with this left switch, and then we can move it back with the right switch. Press it again, it goes a little bit further back. It's basically like a rocker switch. Okay, so there's the visibility back there. You can see there's pillars, there's headrests getting in the way, but it's not really a big deal. The technology, in addition to the visibility, just kind of looking over your shoulder and looking through the mirrors and stuff, it's not really a big deal as far as visibility. And also, you have so much technology. Rear cross traffic alert, blind spot detection system, parking sensors, pretty cool camera system to help you out with driving safely. So it's not really a big deal in general. Of course, it depends on if you got passengers back here and cargo and all that stuff too. One of the cool things about this one as a plug-in hybrid is where you can swap between the engine and the EV button. You can swap back and forth. If you hold that button, it enters charge mode. So it actually charges the battery using the engine to charge it up. So some plug-in hybrids, the battery is not charged by the engine very much. It's mostly charged by plugging it in. So in this case, I can drive the vehicle and actually get a charge on the battery while I'm driving, just by using that feature. So I think that's really good. Because if you don't plug it in, let's say you just don't feel like plugging it in for a long period of time, if you don't have this type of feature, then the battery stays at 0 or close to 0 for a long time. And it's not good for batteries to stay just completely depleted all the time. So you could get a premature failure on the battery if it's not charged, at least, you know, in that 40 to 60% range regularly. So having that feature is great. Camera system's awesome. As you've seen so far, has some cool features. And I have it on automatic, the camera system, so it automatically turns the camera on when I get slow. When I'm going very slow, like right now, if I slow down to this speed, it's going to go automatically turn this camera system on, so that way I can see around. It makes it a little bit easier to park and just have some certainty around the vehicle. And it's kind of neat to have that, kind of see where you are compared to different lines. Or so like right here at the stop sign, we can see that where that white line is, and we can see right where to stop, right there. You know, just little things like that. It's not like a necessity or anything. It just makes it a little bit easier and more fun sometimes. So, yeah, it kind of depleted the battery back again enough to where it started using the engine. But I think you got an idea of how quiet it can be anyway, with the EV mode. But it kind of swaps back and forth. I mean, when you have it in hybrid mode, and the engine will start up, and it'll, especially if you're giving a lot of gas, it will. If you want to accelerate real fast, it'll kick in the engine. But you can drive quite a ways, like 30-40 miles on the EV by itself once you have a full charge leaving the house. But it's like electric vehicle. You have range anxiety, but you don't have that because you can just keep on driving as long as you have gas or electricity. Well, you definitely need gas, of course, but you don't have to have a full tank of electricity. But overall, it's a pretty comfortable vehicle. It's relatively quiet, has a very smooth ride for the size of the vehicle and the weight and everything. It just kind of, I don't know, it just feels a little bit smooth and quiet. And easy to drive. I think that's the thing. It's easy to get in and out of. It's easy to drive. It has decent acceleration, especially when you have, more battery, to where you're using battery and an engine and all that. And I think it's overall, there's a few things, there's few quirks that would be an issue for me as far as actually putting my money down to buy it. But as far as, and that would be, these buttons on the steering wheel that are not labeled, and, relying on the heads-up display for all that kind of stuff. That's a significant setback for me. Might not be for you. It might not even be an issue. It might actually be a positive for you. So it doesn't really, it's like a subjective thing. But overall, I mean, it's the looks, of course, exterior looks are subjective. But as far as like getting in, driving it around, it is enjoyable to drive, no doubt. The cruise control works fine. The lane tracing system works really good, and no complaints. I mean, I hadn't experienced anything that was like popped out as an issue. It's just one of those easy to drive vehicles. Excellent fuel economy, especially when you plug it in regularly. And the seat comfort is, I would say, kind of medium, a little bit better than medium. It's not super cushy, but it's not like uncomfortable. It's kind of medium. And it has the automatic function for the heated and ventilated seats, which is pretty cool. So yeah, it drives like a Prius to some degree because it has the drive system like a Prius, the transmission and all that stuff. It has the Prius shifter, but it has a much higher stance, so it's easy to get in and out of. It looks quite a bit different than a Prius. Some people don't like the Prius look. And of course, you know, the Lexus, you get the premium stuff. That's a good sound system too, pretty good. The screen is really nice, but you know, it's shared with the size of it's really big, but it's shared with the climate control, so it kind of takes away slightly, but not really, because it still looks good. It's still mostly implemented well. And besides the reliance on the heads-up display for those buttons on the steering wheel, the actual heads-up display is really pleasant. It has different colors. It's laid out easily, and it has a lot of information. And it doesn't, other than the button issue, it doesn't really by itself cause a distraction or anything for me. It's fine. I mean, some vehicles, it's like, it looks weird or something, or it's blurry looking or something weird about it. This one's fine. I mean, I can just overlook it and not really pay attention when I don't want to. And it's not like it's not trying to compete for my attention so much, even though there's a lot of information. It's kind of weird because there is a whole bunch of information there. The only issue I have is, like I said, these buttons. When I pull up those buttons and start playing around with that, that's when it becomes a really big issue for me. The rear view camera is awesome. I mean, I think all vehicles need a rear view camera. Being able to see behind the vehicle so well, it's just, it spoils you for sure. There you have it. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you think of this vehicle. It has some interesting features that some of it hadn't seen before. So let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll see you guys next time.